Thank you very much. I understand everyone is tired. Also understand me, please. And Malin mentioned in the beginning that the path to the Republic of Azerbaijan, to the modern Republic of Azerbaijan, there are a lot of parallels. I would like to bring another example of another parallel. When the Republic of Azerbaijan was emerged and when the independent Azerbaijan was emerged, the greatest problem was the problem of territorial character with neighbors, and the problem was Armenia. The main distinguishing point was the following. Even in 1991, these borders were more or less set up due to the Soviet Union service. In 1988, the parties had different principles, historical, ethnographical principles, and had the maximum territorial claims. For example, Avanes Kachaznuzi, in 1923, in the Bucharest, he had a speech he published in the book. Said that when we went to the Paris conference, so our appetite was in a way that we wanted the area to the Arabic mountains and we didn't get anything. At that time, there was another parallel. In the modern times, there are international organizations, and each international organization in this conflict tries to fulfill the intermediary function. There were no such international organizations. There were different countries, as the Ottoman Turkey, Germany, then Great Britain, France, and they tried to dominate in this region. And the policy that they pursued could influence on the territorial claims of these countries to each other. On the 7th of November 18, they second time came to Baku, and a few days later, General William Thompson said, and it's to the population, his goal was to have a rule of law and security in the area between Caspian Sea and Black Sea, which belonged to Russia, as he thought. And he was first time was not accepting that in these areas the independent states would be independent. Sorry, some states would be independent, declare their independence. In the first part, he was not agreed with that. And in the Northern Caucasus, there was a Denikin's army fighting the Bolsheviks. From the other side, the British commandment formally de facto accepted their independence. From the other side, the Tsar Russia also supported Denikin, who wanted to restore the Tsar Russia borders. And in this contradiction, they also had to solve these territorial claims between the countries. It should be open. In solving these territorial issues, the British didn't have the tailor-made plans, because the British, they did not know the roots of it, they did not understand its size, and they just followed what happened. And their purpose was not to find somebody to blame, but to come down the parties of the conflict, not to turn the military into the military operations. Because if everything happened like what was planned, the unified bloc against it would not be possible. So from this part, having this policy, the British, using these forces, tried to protect from the this property from the Bolsheviks, as they used this as a barrier. You touched on the Karabakh and Zangezur issues, and Ilgar also mentioned the British, the model of the general province, and this idea during the Tsar Russia, due to some and administrative divisions came to the Karabakh definition, which was lost before. Again, Karabakh turned into the political definition. But in the emergence of the establishment of the Karabakh General Province, the British did not aim at accepting this as the territory of Azerbaijan. The main point here was that the British army was in Azerbaijan, and the general having the Zengezur area as a general province would be more effective to keep this army under control in this region. Therefore, the British, from the very outset, solving the territorial issues, did not come across from the ethnic principle of division, because it required a lot of time and effort. Armenians was really against this general province, especially to the British commandment. They had the proposals. They proposed that Karabakh and Zengezur, the areas of Armenia, can form a separate province, or the second option is that the neutral general province under the control of the British. But the General Thompson had a very strong position about it, and David Shuttleworth, Colonel, he was responsible for the Karabakh issues, and their decisive position temporarily gave to the Azerbaijanis control. And then the Armenian government, for example, appointed Arslan Shahnazian as a commissar. He was returned. We should confess that in March 1919, Andarnik and their troops left the Karabakh and Zengezur after the British told them. The 22nd August 1919, we talked about this agreement. The Armenian National Council and the government, which consisted of the 26 articles. The main provisions were that before the Paris conference to acknowledge that Nagorno-Karabakh as the Azerbaijani state, and then later Matthias Artsunas was ambassador to Azerbaijan, and Federico Khoisky had some negotiations, and Arutsunan touched on that agreement and said, "Do you know that Sultan forced us in Shusha to make this decision?" They said, "No, only 62 members of the council, 10 of them did not participate, 52 were forced." So in making this decision, so there was some truth. So on Nakhchivan, as we know, Armenians, Nakhchivan Aras Turk Republic, it was in the framework of the Southern Western Republic. So around the Nakhchivan, they had a great campaign, and the main purpose of this campaign was the following. So the Turks used this as a bait by Armenians, and then the Turks have the merit in building this republic. And these republics, as a result of the campaign, were abolished in 1999. In May, Nakhchivan and surrounding regions were given into the control of Armenia. And these areas were given into, they tried to give the balance. As a proof, May 5th, May the 5th, in 1998, William Thompson explained the reason to Khoisky. Nakhchivan to Armenia as Karabakh to Azerbaijan, temporarily given as a balance. But the difference was the following. If the Karabakh and Zengezur area, Azerbaijani Armenians had the same population, almost the same, but in Nakhchivan, the areas around it, Sharur, Darvas, Marigazas, and so on, in those areas, number of Azerbaijanis multiple times were more than Armenians. But these facts were not taken into account. But then this factor showed how difficult for Armenians were to control these areas. Amanesh Kachasnudi said, in order to create the law, we had to bring army several times. For example, in Vedi Basar, we brought 4 times armies, and army left with great casualties. So in general, Great Britain in 1918 and 19, evaluating its military support, we should say it was dependent on several factors. First and foremost, there were a lot of ethnic contradictions and a lot of different interests of different states. Keeping the military force in control, the Great British budget did not afford this. They were in Baku, Batumi, and Tiflis. And in that area, the English, the British commandment, the English commandment, had a long-term commitment with these countries and understood the responsibilities, but did not want to commit to this for a long time. The Great Britain and the members of the other Entente had to acknowledge their positions. Therefore, the Great Britain temporarily stopped its participation and divided among the new republics in the Paris Conference, depending on the Russians' new setup. And during the participation in these events, the Brits, they really were in compliance with this and could never solve any territorial conflicts of the Southern Caucasus Caucasian countries. Thank you very much.